Okie dokie. I'm so glad I left Biggie there to sit on the front. As he should. His rightful place as king. King of the goblins. Also, welcome everybody. Welcome Sarxic. Welcome Salamandius. Welcome me. I hope you guys have been staying warm this weekend. That snow was killer yesterday. You can see shit yesterday here. Our roads disappeared. The streets disappeared, man. Fucking... Whew. Dangerous. It's that awful, dude. He's not awful. He's just drawn that way. So say it the Automod. Just no Automod would be on his ass, too. This stupid crown, yeah. I just look at it and I think of the Biggie Smalls picture of him with the crown. Alrighty, so... I have been looking forward to this for quite a while. So it's probably no surprise that one of my favorite genre is the dungeon crawler. My favorite Sheer Force are now live on Twitch. Now live on Twitch, coming to your TV screen and home computers. Put on the PC-88s. Grab your CRTVs because it's time to crawl. I hope this game doesn't blast your ears like it did mine earlier when I was testing it. I'm going to go ahead and launch this, and I hope. Ready your volume sliders. And your mobile devices, that's right, your Nokias. Your LGs. And your smart fridges, that's right. It is illegal to distribute... Oh, I didn't get to read it, so it's not that illegal now, is it? Okay, it's not super loud. Maybe a little grating. Not super loud for your ears. I'm going to adjust this just a bit, just a little bit. There we go. Are we back to the age of crust? Oh man, I still remember. So, what was that, last week? 2 weeks ago? Your smart coffee maker, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy camera. I was unfortunate enough to have one of those. It's not one thing or it's another. My what was not being picked up? What did I do this time? I know what I did. 1 second. So you don't hear me click-clacking all the time. I was unfortunate to have a Game Boy camera. Or it wasn't mine, it was a sibling's, but that shit came with like a printer dedicated to it. And it came out on the shittiest, cheap, flimsy, thin receipt paper. That was what your pictures were printed on, man. It was a very strange thing, too. It had these weird-ass games on it. I think I know what I did wrong. I have to turn this on. Or maybe I don't. What's more? We're gonna play this day game. I'm generally afraid I'll play it for 2 weeks and not play anything else. Me and you both. Well, speaking of the Age of Crust, I checked out Advanced D&D's I Had the Beholder. I think it was last week, or was that 2 weeks ago? On stream. That game is a game, and it has certainly aged. Okay, there we go. Now my control is being read. That's what I wanted. So, this game is in the same vein. This game was made like 30 years later during modern times when the developers, because Mr. Jackson are the developers who made I Had the Beholder even still alive. I was like, that's a very good question. I have no idea. The developers for this game are probably still alive because this game came out 4 years ago? Undernauts, Labyrinth of the Yomi. You can see my test saves, but we're actually gonna go over one of these. They have like 1 second playtime. I was just making sure the game actually functioned on my machine. It does. But this is made by Experience. And we're not gonna skip the prologue. We want to listen to this shit. Now, Experience, the developers that made this game this is basically their niche. Their niche is the dungeon crawler, the modern day dungeon crawler, in the same vein as Etrian Odyssey. And they made I don't think they made Etrian Odyssey, but they made a bunch of other ones that are, again, in the same vein. I'm being redundant. This game just got its sequel announced. It's called Demon Killed Demon. It's coming out on the Switch later this year, and I hope it's coming to PC as well, because I my PC. So let's see what this is. Don't skip the prologue. And this is the world in this game is purely fictional. The names of any organizations, people, products, and locations are used in a fictitious manner and are unrelated. Just so you know, this game is fake. None of this is actually happening. What you're seeing. 1979. A few decades ago, a mysterious structure known as Yomi suddenly appeared and brought with it a bountiful new source of energy, causing people to flock to the city in the hope of finding their fortune. This game is not historical, man. I know you might think otherwise, but shortly thereafter, the city was filled with Undernauts, workers who delved into Yomi's labyrinth, killed the creatures within, and then mined the area for precious resources. Of course, start mining. However, mining activity has diminished in recent years, causing a number of businesses that relied upon the steady stream of Undernauts to shut down. In the midst of this time of economic turmoil, it was during the bubble era, right? A lucrative job was offered to our small mining firm, Cassandra Co. We were tasked with mining a new area full of untapped resources. The payment was promised to be exceptionally high. They yearned for the mines. Yeah. It felt too good to be true, but the president plowed ahead and ordered me to act as the site's foreman. Survivor, now available on Twitch. Unfortunately, we had few employees on hand capable of performing such dangerous work. We knew we had to quickly recruit extra staff. However, it was nigh impossible to hire talented workers at such a small company. Oh no. So we end up illegally targeting women and students for recruitment via shadowy back channels. Of course, that's the natural progression when you can't hire proper workers. The prevailing way of thinking was that Undernaut work was only for the toughest of men. This meant that our rivals had overlooked a potentially vast pool of untapped talent residing in the wider populace. To keep our activities hidden from prying eyes, we rented out candy stores to use as the front for our illegal job interview. Oh no. At the candy stores. After an exhaustive search, we were able to gather together a talented, if inexperienced, group of people. The only thing left to do was to get to work. Look at that dude in the hood, dude. He's a fucking wizard. The platform at Yomi Station was bustling with other Undernauts. Dock used to enter Yomi's labyrinth, lying just ahead beyond a simple turnstile. Employees' children, yeah. As we stood before the gate to the labyrinth, I turned to deliver a warning to my new recruits. Disasters and death are common in the unexplored areas of the labyrinth. If you wish to back out, this is your last chance to do so. Not a single one of them flinched at my words. Maybe they were brave. Maybe they were desperate. You can't help but be sus, right? And so, with an employee from Yomi Corps and our company's president by our side, we passed through the mysterious shining gate into the labyrinth. Let's bring back a massive haul. We'll come back so rich we'll be able to spend the rest of our lives living in luxury. That's what we all hope for. However, a follow-up on the accident at the Yomi Arjun mining site. It has already been a day since all contact with the District 99 base camp was lost. This morning, Yomi Corp released a partial list of trapped members. Yomi Public Corporation Labyrinth Workforce Supervisors Sachiko Inoue and Chusuke Hanba. I'm probably going to butcher these names, but I'll do my best. Yomi 10 Co. Limited. Mining Division Chief at Undernauts, Isamu Mifune. Cassandra Co. Limited. President and CEO. Kaori Sandra. Of the same company, Mining Division Chief and Undernauts. Me. Ooh. Protagonist character creation. You know, create a main character. Choose one of our protagonist archetypes. Name, nickname. Okay. Once you're finished, main character we created. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. We'll try to speed through it. Not speed through it, but male protagonist. Okay. Grizzled protagonist. Oh, he looks cool. I like his pants and shoes, dude. This guy is fucking awesome. Young protagonist. What to play as a kid, a high school kid. And female protagonist. I like how there's 3 males and 1 female protagonist. That's wonderful. Okay, the grizzled guy looks awesome. Chief Oishi, Shin Oishi. Ah, hold on. I think I moved. We'll go hero. Nickname. Hero. There we go. A nice generic name. Okay, so backgrounds. Looks like this is stat arrays. Youngster. There's nothing young about this man. Male, cooler male, small male. Sussy Baka. Or just mine. Name him a Sussy Hero. There you go. White collar. Young kid just started, doesn't really excel at anything yet, so it's like regular stats, or generic stats. Officer doesn't have much formal education. Int. I'm not looking to play a wizard. Not this time, anyway. Chin Chin Gaijin. Yeah. Manual labor is... Okay, so this is strength. Ooh, that one looks good. Blue collar, athlete. Played sports professionally, have great athletic ability. High speed, good strength, good con. Okay, that's a good one too. Speed's always a god stat. Creative. Authors, artists, designers, or those who work in the entertainment industry. High wisdom. Good luck, good int. Terrible strength. Vagabond. Those who let God favor the wind guide them. The power of God and anime, huh? Speed, luck. Okay. Let's do something with some big ass, big PP strength. Okay, so this is classes. Tactician. Good for Vanguard. I'm gonna assume that means frontline. A versatile warrior that specializes in close range physical attacks. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. What's this? Check. Ooh. Okay, so these are abilities. This is cleave. Wide swing is cleave. Okay. Okay, that's a barrage of attacks. These are all... Okay, chance to do extra attack. Okay, those are passes. Bulwark. This is a tank. A knight that protects his squad from physical attacks, heavy equipment. Fighter, unique martial arts, especially fist attacks and chi abilities. Ah, so a monk. Sorcerer. Rear guard, magician, specialized in deadly magic and support. Yeah. Cleric, healer. Okay. Hunter. Ranger that uses bows and arrows. Yeah. Fencer, a modern day samurai, able to slay foes in a single stroke and can dual wield. Ooh. Ninja. Modern day ninja causes chaos and annihilates enemies. So, this game, I briefly played other Experience games. I really like that eventually dungeon crawlers basically become like almost like visual novels. So there's a heavy visual novel aspect to these games. I wish people would make more of them. We'll keep it simple. Go with the we'll go with the warrior. Okay, so this is starting equipment. Chest expander. Ubiquitous piece of workout gear used for functional strength. Okay, so Mostly just his stats. Strength and speed. Okay. Speed 2, con 2. Let's go strength and speed. Kendo tell. Oh, you can actually... What the hell was the point of the earlier selection? You can actually change his sprite? Oh, holy shit. That man is massive. The generic man. Oh, there's variants. Okay, so it's like a color swap and the option of helmet. Actually, this guy looks really generic, but with the helmet, he looks fucking awesome. He also looks kind of goofy because he's wearing a suit and tie. Samurai helmet. Tell me you're a tourist and they'll tell me you're a tourist. This guy looks at least a B rank, not A rank hunter, right? Oh, he also gets a samurai helmet. Ooh, okay, okay. Honestly, if I pick this, okay, so let's see. We get the kid, he gets the hood, okay. Okay, woman. She's like an office worker, but also like a, I don't know what the hell she is. Ah, more sport. High school tactician. Okay. Oh goodness. Gangster tactician. Got some streetwear. She looks better with the short hair, right? And the cigarette. This man is massive. This man is made out of steak. Is he supposed to be a high school student? It says delinquent. Okay. Oh my goodness. JSDF Soldier Bulwark. Now, the good news is I'm pretty sure you make a lot of characters or you meet a lot of characters, so it's not like we're going to be missing I'm not picking that. It's not like we're going to be missing sprites. Wrestler fighter. Pro wrestler. Damn. Oh, we got the nerd. Oh, this guy is sus as fuck. Yeah, you guys want the girl sprite, huh? Okay, we'll make a chat. We'll make a chat a character. Idol sorcerer. Okay. Ah, cleric. I like her Pope hat. Can you imagine if doctors and nurses actually wore like cleric hats? Manga artist. I see. The what do you call it? The NEET archetype? NEET? The bulwark chick? I'm not picking that. Police officer hunt. I don't know, fucking ranger. This guy's retired Yakuza. This guy looks awesome. Office worker fencer. Damn. She looks awesome. Gymnast ninja. Host ninja. This man is massive. Oh, this guy looks cool. If a bit generic. She looks cool too. I'm not picking that. The bad buddy. You guys like that bulwark chick, huh? Okay, we'll go back to her for a second. Oh, this guy's from a horror game. He's the protagonist of fuck, what's it called? Deathmark, which I'll be playing through eventually. I'm not picking that. Kira Kojima. This guy's pretty cool too. This guy's also from Deathmark. I didn't realize they made Deathmark. Deathmark is a horror, what do you call it? A horror visual novel with minor dungeon crawling elements. She looks cool. Okay, I recognize her from Sword City. Okay. That guy looks cool. Okay. He's a stout ass dwarf. Holy hell! Okay. No. Okay. Oh man, he's cool. No. Stout ass dwarf again. No. Older styles. I don't know. Oh, I recognize these guys too. These are also your party members in their other. That's Sword City. Savior Wings. This dwarf has muscles on his muscles. I was told this game was a child labor simulator. All I see are wives. Listen. I don't make the games. I just play through them and comment on them. I'm not picking that. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll add a bulwark. We will add a bulwark. Trust me. We will add a bulwark. This guy looks fine. No, the brown jacket's cooler. What do you take me for? We're going all fucking strength, man. It's fine. We'll need a bulwark. Undernauts hero. Those are all the names released so far. We will release the names of the other missing members as soon as we can confirm them. The girl in red clothes seems to be quite comfortable. She's singing. The brutalized corpses strode around her are my Undernauts subordinates. They were all killed by that girl. My legs were injured badly and I can't run away. The girl stopped singing. I have to eat. Eat humans. Uh-oh. Girl's left arm looks like a giant leech. It opens its mouth wide. Oh! It eats my subordinates right in front of me. Oh, num num num. One after the other. No. Lucy is too full. I'll eat you on another day. Censor with pixels. Are you sure they're eating humans in that? The girl's footsteps trail off into the distance. It seems like only I survived. Because I'm the survivor. But I'm seriously injured and bleeding badly. I need to heal myself. Then I need to return to base camp, while praying that girl doesn't find me. Strategy screen. Okay, he's injured, use one of your conceals. Okay, so learn how to heal. Okay, okay. Easy, easy, easy. And there's a manual. Okay. Oh, listen to that music. Why do they always put the best tracks on the menu? Every single time. Items? Well, it's gotta be an under items, right? Tools? Heals? Yes. Oh, no, this is a fucking... Equipment? Supplies? Restoratives? Yeah, hell yeah. We're all healed up. Now, this game... Oh, okay. This looks really nice for a dungeon crawler. This is astoundingly nice. Chief, it's Hanba. It's been a while since you left, but you've already reached Camp 2, right? Or have you not made it there yet? If something happened, come back at once to report, got it? This portable transceiver only receives messages. I can't reply. Wait, the technology for 1979. I guess we are rich though, aren't we? Enjoy whiskey on the rocks, wondering why the woman you love left in our premiere lounge, yeah. Oh. So, this usually means it's a fight. Look how cute they are! I'm gonna slaughter them! Bird rat! Ugh. And then he's dead. Sussy hero has taken 3 damage. Now, the good news is about these games, I played this a little bit in Sword City, is that you can kind of speed things up very fast. There you go. Bird rat. I actually defeated one of the Yomi race, the grotesque monsters that live in Yomi. The Argent battery in my hand reacts to the Yomi resource they drop. Argent, AG. This rechargeable special battery absorbs and accumulates Argent in the area automatically. Gathering Argent like this is a basic task for us Undernauts. The little rat man. They were both slain. They were both beheaded. Become dust. First encounter kittens, final encounter God's dad. It really is like that in these fucking kinds of games. In any JRPG, really. Instead of fighting little baby monsters that are so cute. And then in the end, you fight both God and Satan at the same time. Always left. Okay, we can't go always left. The path connects to the base camp. We're in the camp. Race is very specific. That's a literary translation. I assume so, yeah. They somehow make it back to Camp 1. This is also called Base Camp, as the name suggests, a base of operations for Yomi mining. First, I should go report to the supervisor located at the admin tent. Okay, so this is town. Or, I guess, portable town. Admin tent. Look, the sky is decked out. Supervisor Hanba is inside the tent. Yomi Corporation is a special public corporation responsible for Yomi Argent mining. As an employee of the corporation, he supervises this camp. Well, you finally returned, Chief. Were you able to reach Camp 2? What happened? More importantly, why are you alone? Where are your subordinates? I'd better report my situation first. NPC conversations, right. But like I said, just some visual novel elements to these kinds of games nowadays. Why don't you report the situation to me? I report that I was unable to reach Camp 2 and that my subordinates were all murdered by a girl in red. What are the Yomi race? Everyone was wiped out. You gotta be kidding me. How the hell could that happen? Yeah, they were all newcomers, but there were 5 Undernauts. Damn it, it's all your fault as a Site 4 person. They'd be alive if you were more diligent. You just need to work harder, man. Yomi bias, you tell us that. Oh man. This is the part where you gotta bow your head repeatedly, right? And be like, sumimasen. Stay silent, give him the cold shoulder. Disagree with the supervisor. It's not my fault. It's not. Fuck you. I don't want to hear it. But you're all I have to rely on right now. Only Undernauts can fight here at Yomi. Hurry up and head to Camp 2. Meet up with the Undernauts over there. Our priority is finding a way to get out of here. If we can't, it'll only be a matter of time until we all die and turn into monster food. You can take up to 5 Undernauts. Don't get them killed this time. Man, fuck you, Supervisor, whatever you're, Hanba. Okay, now you wanted the tank, right? You want the bulwark girl. All right, let's go create some bulwark girls. The dude is stand still. Yeah, he looks like he's fucking ready to fucking go at it. Your current objective is listed as special tasks. Okay, so that's story stuff. Okay, character management. Let us create. Okay, so we definitely want her to be a bulwark. Oh, sorry, maybe it's a bulwark. Perfect. Hiro Yamaguchi. My name's Hiro, man. What the fuck? Let's name her. What do you want to name her? The tank with her cannons. Big cannons. Her nickname is Big Cannons. They're big Bannons. I can't spell. I can't type apparently. He looks like his style is unblockable. I'm trying to hit him, but he just completely and utterly parries me like a fucking casual. There's a forbidden name in these parts. Actually, no, it's not, because Automat didn't. Well, what Automat doesn't know won't hurt him, right? She's gotta be strength and con, right? Yeah, she's a bulwark. She doesn't think, she just blocks. A large skill set, yeah. Bulwark, of course. Lance mommy. You like big bannons? I mean big cannons. Bannons is her real name. How about we'll meet you in the middle. Lance Cannons. And her nickname is Big Mama. Damn. Big. I still like big bannons, man. Here we go. Strength and con. I want her to have like all the health. She needs to be invincible. Okay, so hair color is also okay. I'm feeling the sunshades. I'm feeling the sunglasses and the longer hair. Yeah, yeah. All con. She will never die, ever again. Decorated Spec Ops veteran is just put on leave after an incident. Sure. There's big cannons. Need some more. Need some more. We need another frontliner. I'm not picking that. You want a pro wrestler? You want Rey Mysterio? On our front line. Myself a tactician. What about well, she looks nice and serious, right? The art style, I don't. It's gonna look weird. The art styles are clashing, but at the same time, these are some pretty good images. Alright, let's go back to where does it matter that much? the front line. Where's the office chick with the katana? There she is. Rino Iwashita, Rina-san. Sharp office worker with a long work history who was laid off at her job. She joined Cass Company to sue her old employer. Why not? Okay, she is a fencer, so she should have some speed. Athlete, that sounds good. Fencer? Mia 2A looks good in the office too, yeah. We'll use Mia 2A for, because we still have the backline to make. Chest expander? Why not? Because they're strength. Oh, it changes her, okay. Ooh. Hair up, okay. It also changes whether she has a pipe or a cigarette. Like the hair up. Because it's still messy, right? Make the cigarette. More aesthetic. Okay, let's give her a little bit of speed. And more strength. There we go. Sure. Wido-san. Alright, now we got the back line. So we need ranged. Idle sorcerer. A cleric would be nice. I really like that Pope hat. Yeah, let's get a Pope in our Pope. Tommy. Pope. Should be our Pope, should be our personal Pope. Okay, so I'm going to assume Wisdom is her main stat, as is usually the case for Wizardry clones. It's going to be either Wisdom or Int, so Creative's going to be the one to... with Cleric. Here we go. Her trinket is a Bible. She got the Bible in her hands. The book of scriptures that hold the word of God may provide enlightenment. Sure. Dr. Cleric MD. I like the gold better. I like that hair better. Let's dress up our Barbies a little bit. Okay, so a little bit of int. I'm gonna see, yeah, affects healing magic, max MP. Okay, I don't expect her to attack that much, so we'll see. Wisdom. The Pope Mommy. Our backline. Okay, so 2 more. We need a wizard. Now, wizards go hard in these types of games. They're not early on, but... Jeez. Where's Mia? That's Mai. There she is. I wasn't staring, man. I was rubbing my nose. That visor hides nothing. This visor hides everything. I'm not a lech, man. Yeah, I like the name Mai. Why not? You're gonna be our mage. You call her Mage Mai. Okay, so she needs all the intelligence. She is smart. The smartliest white collar for sure. A sorcerer. Yes, 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 yes. Buddha tattoo. Where's the int? I want all intelligence. Puzzle cube. Ah, she has a Rubik's cube. Perfect. Okay. Doesn't have an 80. Yeah, no. Okay, perfect. So all ints. There we go. Now, the last slot. I don't know. What's this ninja gets me? So what's a gymnast ninja? I don't know if there's chests in this game. Typically the last slot goes to like a thief, because the thieves are able to unlock chests and disarm traps. Shit, maybe she should have been the mage. You see tons of chests already? Yeah, there's a lot. There's a heaping amount of chests in this game. And we haven't even started the fucking game. These characters you'll see again in another game. Eventually. Chest head, try two hand. I'm kind of feeling the something about a Rey Mysterio ninja sounds funny to me. I know she's technically a fighter, but her nickname is Pretty. Why not? Widely popular wrestler. While on the mention of a wrestling great turn Undernaut and joining cast. Why not? Why is she so bottom heavy? Oh, you gotta balance out the fucking party, man. We need some counterweights in our party lineup. This is not a harem, by the way. This is absolutely not a harem that I'm making here. So don't treat it as a harem. Don't tell anyone it's a harem, because that's slander. And if you write it, it's libel. No, you know what? I like the actual wrestler Asuka, so yeah, we'll leave her as Asuka Pretty. Why not? Okay, she needs speed. Speed and luck. Vagabond. Okay, so does she get ranged? That's probably the other thing I should have looked into first. This has range, and it's still gonna be speed and shit, so. Speed. Center guard? Oh, okay, so she's in the back and the middle. Okay, yeah. Shinsuke Nakamura. Speed bag. She's be fast as fuck, boy. She needs to have the mask. It does her loose hair. The Twin Tails matches the mask better, right? Do that one. Rey Mysterio. Okay, so some speeds. All the speed. Speed's gold. Before everybody else. Okay, that should be the... Okay, we're all set. We got Sussy Hero, our protagonist. Big cannons on the flank. Rita-san on the other side. Hope Mommy in the back. Mage Mai and Pretty. That's actually really easy to just... Okay, cool. Alright. We're set. Who's this? Outside the tent, the president of my company, Cassandra Co. Limited. Carrie Sandra, better known as Cassandra. That's supposed to be a pun. Cassandra is waiting. Welcome back, Chief. Looks like something bad happened. I can tell just by looking at your face. We've been working together for a while. Why don't you fill me in? I repeat what I told the supervisor to President Cassandra. 5 people died. That's awful. I gave them quite a big advance, but they didn't bring back anything at all. I'll need to pay death benefits, too. This is a huge loss. I hate this. Criticize her callousness. Nod and agree. Okay, she's the president. This one you do have to kiss the ass of. Not literally. Business-like. That's what I like about you. Listen, Chief. We may be in a state of emergency, but this is still a business. As our company's mining division chief, make sure you go and mine a lot of Argent. I'll buy all of it for a better price than Yomi Core. With 10,000 Arg, you can relax in comfort for a few years. Doesn't it sound like a dream? Like the art style. This game is very ethereal, like humanity was slightly off. I do like the art style for this game, yeah. That said, if the Chinawa gate is broken, we won't be able to get out of Yomi. So do as Supervisor Hanba says for now and head to Camp 2. Good luck. I'm counting on you. The president enters the residential tent. Cassandra Co. Limited has been added to the glossary, listed under Yomi districts. Okay. The glossary. This is where you look up keywords that they spit at you. That's fine. So, this is a crafting table fusion. Massive device in front of me is called the fusion reactor. The fusion reactor is a power generating device developed by Yomi Core, which supervises mining. It uses Argent as fuel to generate the power that keeps the camp's facilities running. But right now, it's not working due to some unknown malfunction. Lights and air conditioning can be run off of stored power, but there's not enough energy to use the Chinawa gate. Okay. Storage tent. Assuming this is where we restore things. The storage tent is where supplies are stored. Yeah, okay. Can also store gear for Undernauts, so maybe there's something usable left. Food and water, essential for mining, are also stored here. The preserved food tastes bad, but there's a lot of it. We don't need to worry for 2 to 3 weeks. A round device is the Chinawa gate, a teleporter that connects the inside of Yomi to the outside. However, since the fusion reactor isn't producing energy, it can't be used right now, so fix that first and we get this. If this worked, we'd be able to leave Yomi. I want to leave Yomi. But what is in here? Ah, Heelys. Excellent. And is this where heals are? Do you have business with me? Or have you come here for healing? You come for healing, ma'am. Critical party members can be healed with the power of the fusion reactor while resting here. But the fusion reactor needs Argent to heal. That comes out of your pocket, not mine. By the way, since the fusion reactor is stopped right now, healing will require a workaround. We'll have to use the stored energy and force it to use the incineration function to get healing power. Sounds like a pain, right? That's because it is. So try not to end up in critical condition. I like her purse. Okay, so this is where you get free heals. Isn't that guy in the rails just going at it? Your squad departs. Okay. We have our mission. Base Camp 2, Yomi Mine, District 99. A few decades ago, a mysterious giant structure now known as Yomi suddenly appeared in Tokyo. Inside was a labyrinth. Who or what would make something like this? Its creator is still unknown. Due to the labyrinth's complexity, a lot of Undernauts get lost while mining. I'd better use the map and proceed carefully. Full map. That's the X button in the labyrinth? Okay, I think that's square for me. I'm playing a PlayStation controller. Recovery at base. So go back to base to heal. Gotcha, gotcha. And money to res. Okay, cool. Ah, okay. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Easy. Is there auto walking in this game? Oh, there is auto travel. Oh, very nice. Okay. And of course, there's random. Okay, so where's my party? Did I not add them to my? I thought I added them. Or is that the next camp? I just don't know, Captain. I just don't know. The fact that there's auto travel is really nice. I had read that this game is full of the best quality of life that a dungeon crawler could ask for. But I want my party members, man. Where are they? No, no. Okay, I see them. Now, how do I put them into party? Formation? Oh, I see. Oh, okay, I see. There we go. Now it's all set. Okay. So. You can use an item bottom. Camp 2 is in the east, but the shortest road is cut off by a pit. You have to take the long route from the north. Chief, you need to hurry. Maybe the radio reception is bad in Yomi, but there haven't been any radio communications from them. Okay, so we had to go north and then east. Let's go. So I went that way, but it was closed, so what about over here? This is not a harem. Absolutely not. Deplorable. Chicanerous. Absolutely. I do have to go that way. Nothing worthwhile. Okay, so there's a search function. He told me to go north. Ah, the tunnel ends here. I can't go any further. Hey, Chief. Oh, no. I thought you'd be here. When I was listening to your report, I thought something sounded odd. You only need to go straight north, but for some reason you were off to the west. Basically, I figured the path here must have been blocked. That's pretty common in Yomi. Here, take this. It's not your first time using one, right? What's this? The flower? So you think I'm pretty? It's called diversity and inclusion. We are being compliant with regulations. The supervisor hands me a Yomi flower. This mysterious object shaped like a flower can change the structure of Yomi. Ooh. Using these to delve further into Yomi and mine Arjun's Undernauts job. Use that door flower to make a door in that wall. Door flower. This is nostalgic. Back when I was a ninja, those things helped me out a lot. Oh, he definitely looks like a guy who used to be a ninja. Imagine the structure of Yomi in your head and use them where it seems suspicious. I found a lot of treasures in rooms I discovered using those. But you better not waste them. Since the fusion reactor is stopped, all we have is what's left in the stockpile. You have 5 door flowers. Your destination, Camp 2, is located on the east side of the section. To get there, you have to take the long way by going from the north side. But by using the door flower, you can take a shortcut. I leave the rest to you. Give me a retirement flower. You need a retirement flower for that one, man. This is a door flower. He returns to camp. So, I should use a door flower on this wall. Dungeon construction. Use Yomi flowers to alter the structure of the labyrinth so you can progress further into it. The build list can be viewed by pressing the B button, which I think is circle for me. The flowers we use we consume with a few exceptions. Door flower. Doors are constructed. Okay. Constructible walls will give out blue effects when you bump into them. So in other games, when you bump into a wall, sometimes. Okay. I see. In one of their other, I think in all their other games, when you bump into walls, every character in the party grunts, and then you start spamming it. Caution, under construction. We really are miners. With an E. South Camp 2, East Camp 2. I don't know, it's only beyond this point. Okay. Which is it? This is north. That looks ominous. Let's You're looking for fake walls like it's Dark Souls, yeah. Skull symbols lie with their enemy symbols to start combat. Okay, so that's like their other one games. There are 2 types of enemy symbols, red and green. You win a battle with a red, you treasure chest and loot and supplies. Okay. Green will not drop a chest if you want treasure to hunt for reds. Okay, let's go red. Bugs. Look at the size of those mosquitoes. Mine is pretty, like, shaking, ST. What skills do we have? Ah, here we go. Oh, yeah. What skills does she have? Protect Vanguard. Can block single target bats on Vanguard. Ah, yeah. Do these cost ability? Yeah. Oh, we're gonna see. Oh, I see. It looks like it costs 3. Okay, we'll test these out at the very least. EI slash Helm Splitter. We'll try him at least. Okay, and then our... What does she have? Medi... Restore 1 ally HP. Cure many. Cure status ailments. Boost accuracy and evasion. A 10% lasts... Oh! That's the entire battle. Cycles to 50%. Interesting. Let's put it on our man of the hour. Skill Pyrokinesis. Strong versus Earth, weak versus Water. Okay, so there is elements in this game. Geo. Strong versus Lightning, weak versus Fire. Decreased evasion chance. Stacks up to... Okay, that's gonna be good later on. Like I said, our mage, as impressive as she is built, and I mean that stat-wise, she's gonna be a little weak early on. Okay, we have the ninja, sneak attack. Ambushed one foe, piercing their defense. Damage up, accuracy up, pierces. Illusion. Helps squad evade single target attacks for 1 turn. Ooh. Very cool. Big cannons got ready to protect the guard. Ready to produce an illusion, hard defense. Weirdo Shan struck Croak Bug D with EI slash. Okay. And then he was dead. Oh no, our mage. Hero with the fucking slash attacks. Okay, okay, alright. He's stunned. So, the good news is, early on, later on it'll be more important to strategize with these spells and shit, but early on, we should be fine just kinda fast battling through all this. Treasure chests and traps. Some treasure chests may be booby-trapped. Traps must be disarmed to open these chests safely. Disarm a trap, use consume a lock-picking bug item or select the correct trap. If you're okay, so this is straight out of wizardry. If you're attempting to choose the correct trap, pay attention to the correct answer chance. The number of trap choices determined by a party's remaining MP. Oh, okay. If your MP is still full, there will only be 1 choice. I see. This is why we have a ninja. They used to be pretty much only useful for picking locks. Well, I guess thieves technically weren't ninjas. Ninjas were instant kill armors. So abnormal current. Assuming she's right, then the trap is disarmed. We have a rep. Ooh, here. You're getting weapons and the like. And for these, I assume, what the hell is that? A harpy? Naked bat. Look at the size of those bats. Those bats are enormous. And naked. Why are they naked? Defend. Defend. So this should pretty much get us to the early game, I would assume. Is there a way to auto? Ah, okay. Oh, but I didn't hit the fast node. Oh well. Good grief, she's naked. Oh. I think maybe I should take this fight a little more seriously. Our office mommy is about to go down. We'll take this more seriously. Helm Splitter. We need big damage. She needs to cure our samurai. Let's see. I don't know what element these things are. I just realized it's called Brady Kinesis. What the hell does that even mean? Weak versus fire, weak versus water. Let's try Geokinesis, maybe? He's flying, right? Little sneak attack. Kunai, okay. Ooh. Nice, nice. Heal up. Missed the Helm Splitter. Okay, so these things have some good evasion. Either that or my stats just suck. It could be either or at this point in the game. Okay. She doesn't need to heal, defend. She has Geo. Booby Trap's the worst named thing ever. Tripped one once and all I got was a belly full of buckshot. No boobs at all. Holy hell. She'd be tricked with, you know. Just take a look at the party that we have rolling. You know. There we go. Simple as. Just a couple of bats. Let's see, hero is leveled. We obviously want strength. Nice. Yomi rocks. Putting reactor for Argent or flower power. Anba, it's basically trash. That's good. Okay, so he tells you what trash items are. Perfect. So he said we had to go a long way, but... Ahead, hidden hole. Be careful. We display our monsters more dangerous than the ones in the mining level. However, if you use Mon flowers to hunt monsters there, you'll get better resources than in the mining level. As an Undernaut, high risk, high reward is what you live for. There is nothing hidden about this fucking hole. I can fucking see it, man. Look at this shit. Okay. If they're higher level, I don't want to die. Not yet, anyway. I would like to get to Camp 2. But he said go east. Is this like a locked door? Yeah, okay. Mining level inner. Locked door. It's done this way. What's that? It's a rock! That's not a rock! No, what do you say? It's not just a boulder, it's a rock! Unfortunately, you can't auto-pat the unknown areas, so... Chest. Amazing chest ahead. Oh, these things are weak as fuck, so... So I'm realizing now, typically in these kinds of games, your party's lifeline is completely dependent on your cleric and your wizard. Well, early game is just gonna be the cleric, but the Vanguard is gonna also play a significant amount of the Vanguard is also gonna be a lifeline. Especially if guard costs mana. Sneak attack. Pioneers just ride these things for miles. She is just fucking getting rocked, man. They do not like the office lady. So accuracy up is gonna be very good. Let's go ahead and heal. We'll heal the others up too soon. Okay. Protect. Our office lady fucking died. Alright. Let's hit him with the fire. The fireball, man. Just fucking. Ugh. And he's dead. Abnormal current. Nerve gas. Abnormal current? Easy. Wakizashi. A shorter blade meant to be worn along with a katana. Okay, so this will go to the office lady. Broken shield. Bing bang busted its trash. It is a shield though. It's rating up. Well, I have to run back to what the fuck am I? What the I'm so glad that auto travel is a thing. This is gonna save countless hours of walking around. Is there auto travel in The other Labyrinth game, Doom Guide? Obviously, classic character choice, Kitten Monster. Like, can you select a tile and then, like, just automatically go to it? Oh, filling up is like nothing. There is not auto. Okay, so this is okay. That's surprising. I would have thought the Labyrinth of Galarian, Labyrinth of whatever the other one's called, would have had. Maybe the second one. Does the second one have auto travel? Or Galarian's the second one. What's the first one? Walking in Labyrinth is ball crushing. I can imagine. I could have swore. No, I played Sword City. That game had auto travel. I'm pretty sure. So why wouldn't they put it in? It just seems nonsensical, man. I got myself a rock. Oh, I thought the chest was the other way. Oh well. So I need to spam that. That's AoE. She needs to spam her Protect. She needs to spam her EI Slash because it's higher accuracy. Once she gets her accuracy up, we can switch the other ones. Defend. Our mage can still delete things, it looks like. And the thief is our thief. Okay, this is already going a lot better. So, if I hit auto, does it do the same thing? I think it's just auto attack. Oh well. Maybe it doesn't just go with no brain. I don't think so. Okay. Big Cannons is leveled up, so that's good news. She needs more Constitution. Oh, our Pokemon be leveled up as well. More Wisdom. Mage Mai. All into Int. She has a very large mana storage. And our Ninja. Okay, so everybody's leveled up now. Speed. Okay. Spike Trap. Oh man, Old Katana. Short Spear +1. Broken Shield. Traveler's Coat. Rock and Brass Coins. Very nice, very nice. So, can I go through equipment here? New character. Ah. Less evasion, higher damage versus monster. So I'm not gonna be too Traveler's Coat. Less defense from okay, I'm not worried about that. We have a shield. Is this good? Is this worse? Better? The same? Less evasion, less resist, better defense. I'm not expecting her to dodge shit, so. Okay, she definitely needs this though. Okay. So we found a Wakizashi. This will go in her offhand. Oh yes, perfect. And I don't think we found much of anything else, so it should be good to go. They should be refrain, do like potatoes. That's what I'm saying, man. You gotta play. You gotta be refrain. The game has great potatoes, by the way. This game, to its credit, this game also has some pretty good potatoes. Camp 2. Wait, what did that say? Okay, Camp 2 is ahead. That is pink. Is that a boss? We have Pirate Yakuza to beat tonight at the rate I'm going, probably not pseudo-lurking. Okay, gotcha. The Argent detector attached to the portable receiver has detected something. This reaction occurs when there's an enemy that bears special Argent. If I defeat that enemy, the Argent in this section should be activated. Okay. I don't know what that means, but lights. Decrease your field of vision. Activate the light in Labyrinth by defeating special Oh, okay. Most other benefits, including no more enemy ambushes and checking enemy levels. Oh, okay. Each section's lighting status can be checked on the full map. Sections already lit will have a star in front of the selection name. Very cool. So typically, Oh man, look at him. There's a fat ass rhino snake. He's covered in scales. I hope we're okay. Okay, all right, let's not. Let's go ahead and. His name's Pummeler. Okay, protect the Vanguard. Helm Splitter. He doesn't look like he's got good evasion, but we'll see if the Helm Splitter actually hits. You're straight as shit talk. What is wrong with like party comp, man? Look at it. Look at them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this party composition, man. This is standard dungeon crawling comp. It's meta, even, if you will. I actually don't know if it is meta, but this is what I've always been comfortable with in these kinds of games. Defend. Skill. See if he's weak to fire. Oh, yeah, strong with his earth. He looks pretty earthy. And this pierces. I can't stop looking at the part. See? Salamandis agrees. He's got taste, man. Okay, I'm gonna do the slow battle so I can see what this thing does, because he looks like a boss. Big Cannons is ready to protect. Vedasan struck with the Helm Splitter. 94. Oh, man. Alright. Second attack. That's 3 hits. Nice, nice. Sneak attack. Didn't reach. But she got supply kunai, which I'm gonna assume is just an extra attack. Okay. So it's like free damage, basically. Oh, he got stunned. This idiot. Pyrokinesis. Boom. 43 damage. Nice. Pull while he's defending. Hero with the power swing. Nice. 100 damage. And he's dead. Just like that, man. I'm telling you. This comp. This is the god comp. I'm telling you, Doom Guide. Take some notes, man. The blessed composition is just, we are completely destroying everything in our path. Everything is being slaughtered. Rusted armor. 4 defense, okay. Leather jerkin. 3 defense. -1 accuracy. Okay, okay. Alright. Not bad. Party comp is staying strong. Oh. Ooh. Milk tea. The milk van's on its way, man. Milk truck just arrived. The Argent and mining level entry has been activated. Okay, so we want to equip. Big Cannons needs the highest defense possible. So this is 4. Yeah, we want that on her. Okay, I don't want to sacrifice the accuracy on... Oh, we'll put a Traveler's Code on her. What about Hero? Nothing new. Got it. Milk Team 6. Leather jerkin. I kind of want... If anybody cannot die, it's the Big Cannons and the Pope are not allowed to die. Because there are lifelines. Once the Pope is down, that's when we know that it's time to Deus Vault the fuck back home, because we're fucked. We're screwed. Male Team 6? Man, you are just... You're trying to piss off the Automat, aren't you? Old Katana. The old Katana actually is better than the regular one? Just as a whole, it does 14 okay. Alright, I was not expecting that. So, okay. Alright, we're set. Not bad. Everything's lit up too. That means no more random encounters. And you can see a lot farther too. Okay. Let me say go east. I'm trying to get to this base camp. Okay, so... Or flower. I have some news for Automod. I don't know what it tells them what to do. Can Automod flag mods? Is that like a thing? I actually have no idea. Smoke ball. Guaranteed escape. Gotcha. No effect in boss battles. I didn't even get to this chest. See the enemy, but I don't know if it gets to the chest or not. So cute. That's why I'm gonna behead them. With the big bonk. What word flagged Automod last time I can test? Who wants the mods? How about say bitch. I said bitch. You said bitch though, right? Instant ban. Instant ban. Can she hit backline? Your sex club. Oh my god. He has diplomatic immunity, man. Oh, I see what I have to repeat action. Okay, that makes more sense. It just doesn't fast forward it, so I gotcha, I gotcha. Hot always where it didn't even flag Salamanius that time. Automod has been caught completely flat-footed. I am a god. Oh no. He's gone mad with power. Oh, it did. You had to allow it. Okay. That was fast. I didn't even see that. Bro, tree staff. Ooh, other briefs. Here's some underwear. Let me guess. There's bridge flowers. Okay. Once he's... I just realized underwear is a equipment slot. This game. Hanba. It is what it is. Of course. This is defense up. Let's put on our Vanguard. She needs the strongest leather briefs. The strongest underwear. Okay, we also got a staff. Okay. Old tree staff. Magic tag up. Excellent. I don't know if she can equip bow. She cannot. The rangers can. Okay, she has a kunai though, which is fine. Okay, so it's not this way. So that means it's either... I passed by the sign, so it's gotta be somewhere. I'm gonna run out of door flowers. Ooh, treasure room! Healing scarf. Has healing properties. Is it like regen? Is that okay. Rusty dagger. Leather briefs, more underwear. Remember, always pack extra underwear. Rusty dagger. No? Oh, this is actually trash. Never mind. No night rusty dagger. But we have underwear. Put them on our office lady. Now, what other doors do we miss? So there actually is one here. No, that's the bridge. Sorry, I was just complaining about that. I also missed over here. I know he used to go north and then east. I'm trying to find, but I guess why I passed by it. Sign that said it was this way, right? Yeah, there it is right here. Head camp 2. Well, I'd have to be coming this way. So it must be one of these. Let's try this one. You play a game talking about sexual assault and playing... I just said it out loud. And putting yourself to big sleep, but God forbid you mentioned women. What did... I can't remember what we were playing. I don't remember if that was one of the co-op streams with Alice, but... I think Salamandius... All he said was, it sounds like... And he was being literal, it sounded like women, and that was it, and I got flagged. I was like, what the fuck? Skill boost. Gained 1 skill point. is this stupid? Oh, there we go. Bugs, of course. So I want her to always be protecting Vanguard. She should be using her accuracy up attack. She can defend. She can blow him up with fire. And this one can attack. Whatever. Whatever's still alive. Nice, nice, nice. That's 3 dead and 1. Okay, so I can also do an auto with just basic attacks. That's perfect. Rock. He wasn't even being sexist though. He was talking about it literally sounding like a woman. like, hey, that sounds like a woman's voice. And it flagged it. I was like, what the fuck? In front of me is a line of giant drains. Looks like the arm jutting out belongs to a human. If I investigate, I might discover something. Investigation. Okay, so that's just hitting X. Do I have to actually stand on them? And in the middle of them? Human corpses are shoved into the surrounding drains. The bodies are ripped to 5 pieces as if pulled apart with brute force. Even this may prove useful somehow against that monster. Obtained scalp. Scalp? Just pull off his fucking scalp. I'm like, yep, this'll come in handy. Well, alright then. The automat assumes you're insulting in certain words. Yeah, it's kind of fucking annoying, man. Oh no. Someone left their sausage all over the camp. Camp 2 is covered in blood. There are limbs and viscera violently torn from bodies scattered all across the ground. This has to be work of the Yomi monsters. Is anyone here left alive? Forcing cheddar over to say. Inside of the tent is thick with the smell of blood as well. There don't appear to be any survivors, except for one. That's me, by the way. The fusion reactor isn't working. There's some scorch marks on the power unit. It looks like it's broken. I hear something close by. At the edge of the camp is a haphazardly stacked pile of corpses. This must be the Undernauts from Yobiten, who use this camp as a base. Yobiten is a major mining company, so they've got over double the number of Undernauts as us. But apparently they weren't able to stop whatever wiped them out. There must be an unbelievably strong monster living in District 99. Oh, the hell? Is someone there? From behind the mountain of corpses, a girl in a wheelchair appears. Most of her face is covered by a hood, but I can see that a bandage covers both of her eyes. Just leave me be. Ah! Disabled person, no! No! I don't want to feel anyone else dying. So please, just leave me alone. After the girl quietly mumbles without emotion, she falls silent. Ignore her. It's okay, little girl. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm here to save you, because I'm a hero. I attempt to reassure her, but the girl stays silent. Maybe this girl's mind is still in shock. If I leave her here, she'll eventually meet the same fate as the corpses that surround her. Abandon the girl. I mean, obviously we'd have to save her, right? Right? I get behind the girl and grip the handles of her wheelchair. I leave the camp with the silent girl. Well, we found Camp 2. Everybody in there has been ripped apart by something, and we found this mysterious girl who's definitely not evil in any way, shape, or form. So I think it would be prudent to bring her back to the other camp. Of course, using auto travel, because auto travel is goated. The silent girl opens her mouth suddenly. You are planning to save me. Do you feel pity for me? Like the people of that camp? A little bit, yeah. But those kind people, they were all killed. In front of me. By those monsters. With that, the girl falls silent again. Well, that's not ominous, right? She's just telling us what happened. We'll be fine. I fight monsters all the time. And only our office lady has died. You're so fast with auto travel. The silent girl opens her mouth again. I don't have anything anymore. A light in both my eyes, the freedom of my legs, my past and future. I've lost it all. The only thing left is this cursed tower. With that, the girl falls silent again. She doesn't know what those words means, right? The path connects to the base camp. Alright, let's take her to camp, see what happens. I return to camp with the girl. Ugh. The power. It's here too. The fact Japan even include a disabled person's progress, yeah. I see it very often in, especially JRPGs, you don't really see a kind of a representation. The girl calls out in surprise and heads towards the fusion reactor. Mission accomplished. Nice. Your performance will earn you excellent marks. Loot! The wheelchair-bound girl. She's a loot? Alright. It's kind of fucking weird, but okay. I report the demise of Camp 2 to the supervisor. They were slaughtered! Damn it, what's going on? There should have been over 30 Undernauts there. Even Mifuen from Yomitan was there. He's got 15 years of experience. There's no way this could happen. The supervisor is stunned. For 3 rounds. I didn't mean to talk to him again. Oh, he's in silence. Okay, what about... We talk to her now. The girl is acting more strangely than before. Her body trembles as she shows her surprise. This feeling, the Mad King's spirit tree is also here. Am I unable to escape this fate? Talk to her. This voice, you. The reason you brought me here was to awaken the spirit tree, wasn't it? No. I cannot escape from this loathsome connection to the spirit tree. Then I will fulfill my role. My role as the spirit tree's sacrifice, Lucy. Oh. Lucy is too full. I'll eat you on another day. Lucy. That's the same name as the girl in red. I try to ask the girl about that, but... no answer. The girl ignores me and approaches the reactor. She unravels the bandages on her right arm. Her bare arm is covered in wounds that trickle blood. The girl dips her finger in that blood and smears it on the fusion reactor. Oh. Ooh. The fusion reactor glows blue, and a low engine noise echoes across the camp. I can't believe it, but somehow the fusion reactor has started working again. This is what you want, right? I am the spirit tree's sacrifice. No matter which world it is, that doesn't change. Even if I fight against destiny, I only get hurt. Then I will quietly follow my destiny. This fucking stance. Hey, what's this? The fusion reactor's working again. Did you do this, Chief? Or was it the young lady over there? Whatever. It doesn't matter who did it. Now we can activate the Chinoa Gate. We can escape from Yobi. The supervisor dashes to the storage tent. The girl has fallen silent. It doesn't seem like she plans on explaining what she did. Fusion reactor. You cannot use the fusion reactor. You use fusion reactors to create supplies, upgrade equipment, and create Yomi flower. Ooh, creating flowers is good. Energy and flower power. To use the fusion reactor, you need Argent and flower power. Energy and FP. Use Argent to create upgrade supplies, revive party members. Flower power is a special power that accumulates in the fusion reactor. Use to create Yomi flowers. Okay, so currencies. Gotcha. Once you extract AG or flower power from an item, you can create the fusion reactor. You can create as many as you'd like, as long as you get the required Argent. I gotcha. So, what is one? These costs. So we have 100. It's cost 20 each. So let's make 2. Yep. Does you have anything to say or no? No, okay. The girl won't speak. So what about the boss? What does she think? I can hear the supervisor's excited voice all the way over here. I'll head to the storage tent too. You go on ahead. Okay. You finally leave the Yomi and end this game forever. There. Done connecting with the surface side gate. You can finally say goodbye to this dismal place. The gate's going to open. Ooh, Stargate? Hurry up and get in there. Hmm? Oh. What's going on? This piece of junk. Hurry up and move. No way. This can't be. Why isn't it getting a response? Ooh. It's a pleasure to meet you, ladies and gentlemen of District 99. Fortune and misfortune are like intertwined strands of rope. In this world, fortune and misfortune are always side by side. You know this well. You came to chase your dreams, but as a result, you are now on the brink of death. Now, you have all been trapped in Yomi. This is not an accident. I did this. The reason? I want you to die. Your camp will soon be attacked by the Mad Sinners. I remember that movie. And similar to those in Camp 2, you will be slaughtered. No indignity spared. The only possible way you can survive is to kill the sinners before the sinners kill you. If you stack up the corpses of the sinners, your path to freedom shall open. Believe in miracles and fight hard. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen of District 99. After going silent for a few moments, the supervisor opens his mouth. That was a lie, right? I don't think so, Tim. The next day, I think we are thoroughly fucked. This is a follow-up report about the District 99 incident. According to the announcement by Yomi Corporation, the Chinowa Gate malfunction is quite serious. It will take at least 2 months to fix it. However, the base camp only has about 3 weeks worth of water and food stockpiled. At this juncture, the rescue of the trapped Undernauts appears impossible. The supervisor, who had holed up in his bed in shock, comes into the tent. So we really are trapped inside Yomi. The man on the radio wasn't lying. But it's already been a whole day. I'm tired of feeling sorry for myself. My body's pretty open about its desires. I just got hungry all of a sudden. Come on, let's share this. Does I share his food with me? The supervisor pulls out some cup ramen. It was one of the things stockpiled in his camp. This doesn't compare to Yomi do, but when you're hungry, everything is delicious. Cup noodle? Pour hot water and wait for 3 minutes. Nothing special about this ritual. But at this moment, that slice of normal life was nostalgic and comforting. Yummers. We slurp the hot cup ramen immediately. Our bodies grow warm, and I feel a bit more chipper. Oof, thanks to the meal. My wife and I both love cup ramen. We used to eat it at home a lot. So eating this feels a bit like being at home. But once I'm finished, I'm right back to being in the pits of hell. I know what the radio said, but I believe in the technological capabilities of the corporation. Maybe the repairs will go off without a hitch and the gate starts working again tomorrow. It's gotta be what happens, right? Anyway, Chief, knowing you, I bet you're gonna head into Yomi now. So I'll give this to you. Boost Band. Now that the fusion reactor is working again, we can finally activate it. If you're a proper Undernaut, you gotta know how to use that, right? Go crazy on those monsters and train yourself to your heart's content. I also have one request before you leave. That girl, Lucy, hasn't budged in the fusion reactor. It's a little creepy, so can you check in on her? Thanks. Leveling up in job skills. When you level up, you gain skill points. Skill points as you upgrade skills. So new ones, some skill. Okay. Self-management. You can freely reallocate job skills. Oh, okay. So free respecs. Very nice. Escape from Yomi. Gotcha. Oh, I didn't mean to talk to him again. So she's in here. The girl in the wheelchair named Lucy is sitting blankly in front of the fusion reactor. What is it? The girl notices my presence and looks up. There's a lot of things I want to ask her. What should I start with? I guess all of this. Fusion reactor. Fusion reactor. You're wrong. This is the Mad King's spirit tree. It is made by the Mad King of the Forest of Death. The spirit tree makes miracles of creation. These miracles can change the world. Eventually, you will understand. The piece of the miracle bestowed upon you, with the power of the blessing of regeneration. Okay. I am Lucy, the spirit tree's sacrifice. Every time the Mad King wished for a miracle from the spirit tree, my blood was offered to it. My heart has been pierced by blades many times. My limbs and head have been plucked off. But I cannot die. That's how my body is. Yet the scars never heal. Oh, we're getting real emo about this, huh? The scars never heal. My body is broken. My soul and memory is shattered. I can no longer remember the past. I found myself alone in Yomi. Camp number 2. I was taken under the protection of the people there. But their spirit tree was broken and I couldn't bestow the blessing of regeneration upon them. That's why everyone was killed. By the monster that came from the north. So it's the north boss. Girl in red clothes. A girl with the same name as me. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. But then again, my memories are unreliable. And the blessing itself. I am afraid of people's deaths. When I hear someone's dying screams, I remember my own past. So when the spirit tree was revived, I granted everyone here the blessing of regeneration. As long as the spirit tree is working, you will never die. Yes, just like me. Your heart will be shattered, you'll despair. And even if you wish for death, you'll come back. You might be upset with me for blessing you without permission. But I had my selfish reasons for doing so. How to escape? How do we leave, little girl? I told the girl about our situation and asked if she knows how we can escape from Yomi. Yomi is a prison, cut off from the world. If you wish to leave, you must rely on the spirit tree's miracle. But for a miracle, you will need a sacrifice. I was born to be the spirit tree's sacrifice, but because my wounds have not healed, I have lost many of the powers I once had as a sacrifice. So this miracle will require other sacrifices, ones that hold strong power. For example, the monster, the one that attacked Camp 2 and went north. Someone like a sinner, that would be suitable as a sacrifice. If you wish to escape from Yomi, obtain the sinner's soul. Then I will offer it to the spirit tree, as a sacrifice to summon a miracle. Blessing of regeneration. You have earned the blessing. Okay. From now on, whenever your party is wiped out in battle, you recover at the base. Okay. Reading Yomi flowers. Already did that. I'm gonna do that. Okay then. Creepy little girl. Oh, the boss wants to talk to us. Life, and it's the chief. Are you going to head into the labyrinth again? Yes. What a hardworking person. Wonderful. Chief, do you still remember the Cassandra Crow Limited's 3 rules for Undernauts? I taught them to you the day you joined the company. After pausing for a moment, the president begins to recite the company rules aloud. First, Undernauts are not company drones. Don't rely on someone's orders and guidance. Second, find information with your own legs. Explore everywhere you can. Third, a path may open up if you work hard enough. Try everything possible. Those are the rules. If you're going into the labyrinth, don't forget about those 3 rules. Let me also tell you about Undernaut tasks. To inspire Undernauts and increase morale, the corporation started issuing Undernaut tasks. These reward people who find new... Okay, so this is bounties. Because this was in another game they made. The rewards are pretty good, so why don't you try completing some? I have high hopes for you, Chief. Basically, repeatable quests. You kill so many types of whatever, then you get a reward when you come back. The president returns to the residential tent. Undernaut tasks. Unrelated, you're in rewards, but yeah, okay. Yeah, bounties and achievements, basically. What to do? Skill boost 1, opaque gem 5. When you complete Undernaut tasks, you can earn completion rewards. Okay, yeah, that's the rewards. What have we got here? 1 skill point, opaque gem. And this goes into... This is money. Speaking of, let's go to the fusion tent. Oh, maybe not. That's right, the gate doesn't actually work. Okay, so we're fine then. So I would like to... Can I use my skill things? Phone call. To all personnel, you may be feeling uneasy about the District 99 incident. But rest assured that the company has the situation under control. Continue your current operations. I might remind you of Phantasy Star Online 2. This portable receiver can also receive radio signals. The program that just aired is a radio program that Yomi Corps broadcasts in all districts. I've heard about this from the president before. It's hard to send radio waves from Yomi to the outside, but it's easy to transmit them into Yomi. I don't understand the mechanics, but that broadcast just now proved that it was true. Okay, so we have a radio. Portable radio occasionally receives radio broadcasts. Radio broadcasts display on upper part of the screen, so may include useful information. Use the right trigger and traveling language to receive radio broadcasts on demand. Okay. Auto travel, yeah, we don't want to do that. Okay, so I want to use... Is it for... No. And supplies. Silvers, there we go. So... Hero. One on our mage. And one on big cannons. Skills. Ah, perfect. So passive accuracy up would be fantastic. Yeah, we'll go with that. Passive accuracy up. Okay. Big cannons. Increased block. Increased evade. Okay. Shield. Oh, she can stun. That's of training. Okay, let's get the stun for her. And for mage, does she have any... Nothing that is AoE. Luckily, respecs are free, so I don't have to worry too much about that. No sleep either. Okay, we'll buff up the fire for now. Right, so... What time is it? There's still plenty of time. Okay, so there's a boss in the north. Is what it says. A swarm of large beetles was flying straight at me, but this is a good opportunity. It's been a while since I tried out the switch boost. Yes, what is that? What is switch boost? This is new. The boost band wrapped around my arm has 4 switches on it. When I press them, the electrodes embedded in the Undernauts' brains activate. A flower-shaped jolt of Argent energy emerges from our foreheads. For a few seconds, a miraculous power is drawn from our brains. That's a switch boost, a body enhancement system made with Yomi technology. That doesn't make a lick of sense, but I will trust it. This is for the site 4-person, I'm the only one who can wear the band. It's my chance to shine as a 4-person. Picking the right switch at the right time can really help. Okay, what is this? What does it actually do, though? Undernauts can send electricity to your frames to boost their attributes from 1 to... okay. Switch boost, we can grant 1 of 4 charges. First, select overcharge. Use right trigger to boost swap command to select overcharge. Okay. Overcharge enhances skills. For 1 turn, skills will be used without consuming MP. Oh, skill power is also increased. Next, select Duracharge. Okay. Duracharge. Duracharge strengthens the party's defenses. For 1 turn, damage from enemies is halved. Oh, so it becomes immune to status ailments. Hell, okay. Neurocharge. Neurocharge enhances speed and luck. For 1 turn, accuracy and evasion are also increased. Easier to preempt enemy actions. Also, if the battle's 1 while the switch is still active, battles of treasure will drop 2 treasure chests. Oh, okay. And then recharge. It's a heal? Overcharge, Duracharge, and Neurocharge are very powerful but cannot be used continuously. Require 1 turn to recharge. Recharge in order they were used. Use switch boost wisely to gain the engine combat and primary treasure. Switch boosts also have other effects. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so it's at the top. So, do I just... okay, if it's already... let's see if it's actually... it does not cost anything, okay. Ah, okay, okay, alright. What this tells me is that, what is boost swap? Oh, okay, that's just to manually do it, okay. Oh. That's, I like that effect, okay, alright, okay. I can get down with that, alright. Okay, alright. So just free party bus. Gotcha, gotcha. Not bad. I haven't actually gone this way, that's because it's locked. Okay. Now, one thing that is important is I need to actually start hitting these little squares that don't actually have anything in them, because then I'll know where the walls are when I go to auto travel. Walls and doors. Like this, because if you auto travel with them, you like what I did there, when you auto travel, it'll go around the spaces you haven't actually touched, which can be kind of annoying. Another door. Diggy, diggy, dig. Lights. Receiver detect special Argent. If I defeat the enemy, the AG in this section will be activated. Excellent. Dogs! They have goat eyes. What the fuck? Okay, so... switch boost, of course. Frog dog? Oh, those are frog eyes. I thought those are goat eyes. I fought frog dogs in another game recently. I don't remember, because I remember saying that. Frog dog. Shield bash. Stun. EI slash. Defend. Blow him up with the fire. And of course, the sneak attack. Always. Oh man. He's a tanky one, isn't he? Okay. Keep cleaving. Keep shield bashing. Keep EI. We don't need heals. Blow him up with... actually, I didn't even see if the fire did anything to him. We'll do the slow round and see if it actually hurts him. Nice, nice. Okay, Frog Dog 1 is dead. Miss. Big Cannons is stunned, but she's got lots of HP. Okay, Earth doesn't do anything different to them. 2 and 3. Nice, and an extra attack. He's stunned. Perfect. Ah. Aha. So when a character is stunned, they get pushed to the back of the formation. Okay. Not the end of the world, but it's kind of fucking... Try and kill him. And with the EI slash, or help splitter rather. Defend. Now, Cleric being on the front line isn't the end of the world. I don't know if this game is like other games where the clerics in Wizardry they're actually pretty fucking tanky. They can wear like chainmail and shit. They have huge ACs because they can also wield a wand and a shield. Not super stat dependent. Just be using basic attack with her. Maybe not. Oh, that hurt a lot. There's the helm splitter. That's one dead. He did nothing. The fire did nothing to him. Okay. Another power swing. She's gonna defend the front line. She's going to EI slash. She is going to heal. Okay. Nice. Frog Dog's dead. Trench Club. One hand blunt. Okay. Rusted kunai. So I think I hope I can put 2 kunais on my ninja. If so, that'd be perfect. It has been activated. I'd like to open this, please. There we go. Want to heal. Okay. Can I dual wield kunai? If I can, this is excellent. Yes. Okay, she now has full range attacks. Hammer and Trench Club. Ooh, this is a straight upgrade. Nice, nice. Okay. Else, no other. Healing Scar, that's right. I wonder if this regens. If it does, then I might put that on the bulwark, but back wherever we not gone. This way. We mine. We yearn for the mines. These supposed children. You know, technically my party is supposed to be full of high schoolers, but there is nothing high school about these party members. What is this? Ladder flower. I don't have that. Squad healer. Oh. Okay. Next. So I'm curious if I don't think I could make other flowers. Not yet anyway. It's camp 2. And there's a doorway here. Looks like, oh, not the bats. Okay, so I can't use Frenzied Swing. Power Swing's gonna be better against this one. I'm gonna keep protecting. Oh, I suppose I should use that. There we go. Helm Splitter. Now, EI slash. Pyro, there we go. and sneak attack. Death, nice. Pyro. I think Pyro, they're weak to fire. Oh man, he just got destroyed. Okay. Leave. Protect. EI. Defend. Fire. Sneak. Very nice. All strength. Always strength. Scratched rock. More money. Is there a door here? There is a door here. We don't need more door flowers though. Oh, it's a shortcut. Perfect. Does that need flowers? Why is there bat pussy? So hairy. Freaking bat tussies, man. Because they're bats. Okay, we need lots. We need some more of these. Oh man, at least one of them. So you can use these to make flower powers. Is that what I read right? Okay, is there a way to like mass select? I gotta manually go through each and every one. I don't have any other flowers. I can't make ladder flowers. Unless I just don't have to go there. Is there another door? I haven't found any keys either, unless the keys are being held by the chest monsters. So yeah, I need like a bridge for here. I think this is a... Alright then, we'll hunt some red monsters. I thought there was no... Oh, because the fucking lights aren't on. I see. I do like that you automatically heal up and get your mana back. Oh, sorry, switch boost. There's no reason not to use switch boost in that case. I also like that switch boost isn't like super difficult to wrap your head around either. One rounded. Okay, so because switch boost could really just be something that's really fucking more annoying to use, but it's nice and simple. So we want a chest. It's an enemy. That goes to that's right. We can't get to that chest. But what about sorry, another one. Up here? Nothing here. About here. Well, sorry, little guy. Why is he so tanky? There we go. Oh, I didn't see what I grabbed. Oh well. So, There's one up here too. I'm assuming I need a key. Unless I missed a wall. Is there a wall up here I didn't hit? Hold on a second. Nothing. Okay, what about the other side? They keep telling you the monster's up on the north side, so... must be a wall I'm missing, right? Let's kill this. Frenzy, defend, EI, defend, pyro, sneak. One round them. That's fine. My only issue is I wish when you auto-rounded, it would do the fast mode version. Constitution. Or wisdom. More intelligence. More speed. Nerve gas. Old Shaku staff. Old shield +2. Very nice. We actually got a lot from that chest. But that doesn't help me continue. A lot of Shaku staffs. Okay, broken shield, old shield +2. Very good. Very nice. Gotta hit every fucking wall in here. Where is it? There it is. Open up. I sense multitudes of monsters ahead of me. I should be cautious. Consecutive battle. Enemy. Okay. So there's. Okay, I see. That's fine. We're nice and spry. We have tons of resources. Frenzy swing for the AOE. Just gonna have her attack. Guy slash. Defend. Fireball. Sneak. Oh, 1 second. There we go. Sneak. Got the stun off, nice, and dead. Okay, next attack. So over. Oh, you get your switch boost back. Okay, that's even more convenient. That helps a lot. Pyro, sneak. These bronze ones with the glowing eyes are even more tanky than the last one, the smaller ones. Keep that in mind. There we go. Siplaz. Obviously leveled up. We'll give her some more speed. Or sorry, strength. Better clothes, the helmet, and new staff. You defeated 50 Yomians. Here's your reward. Luck boost, constitution boost, boot gem. Oh. So, I'm assuming those... Oh. The cruel monster that attacked Camp 2. The sinner has apparently gone north of District 99. The girl said she needed the sinner's soul to create a miracle that let us escape Yomi. To survive, I need to find the sinner. Finding level. Oh boy. Okay. So, can I use those... I thought they were items you could use, but I guess they're back at the camp, which I'm not going to go back to yet. But I do want to equip new equipments. Like clothes, be nice on her. We have a helmet too. We definitely wanted her. We'll go to these staves. These staves. Not super good. Okay. Okay, there's the pink monster. That's what lights up the area. curious. I'll have to try the next fight if I can just if I can immediately go into the auto battle without having to manually do this the first round every time. Oh, okay, you can fast battle. Okay, I'm just blind. Okay, but we'll have to in order to fast battle a different set of abilities, that we'll have to manually do it, but that's fine. There we go. Easy. Oh, that hurt. Okay, rusted sword, average staff, one-hand blade. That staff would be good on our mage. Average staff +2, magic tech up. Very good. Very good. Line key flower. So there's absolutely no reason to use this key on this door. There's no reason at all. Okay, good to know. Everyone has no treasure, it's just extra enemies. +1, ooh, okay. Rock, silver coin. Traveler's Coat +1, feather talisman. A feather talisman similar to those some indigenous American tribes would make. Basically, it'll help. Evasion up, defense up. Lightning attributes. Interesting. Put it on the MC. +1. Accuracy up. Okay. She needs evasion. Our samurai not getting slapped around would be perfect. Another door there. Moved to send rescue teams into District 99, but they appear to be having difficulty with the Chinua Gate. Words I've never seen before are written on the old sign in front of me. It's a language called Yominese by Yominese by the Yomians. The data file of my belongings, I take out a Yomi to Japanese dictionary. Ah, of course. Always hated to keep those around. With this dictionary compiled by the Yomi Corporation, I can understand Yominese. Inner East, Chief Warden's Nest. Whatever happens, don't wake him up. A boss. This is what I'm here. You may have to run back to base. Be careful of these monsters. A loud snore reverberates from the deep pit in front of me. Let's not wake it up just yet. Not quite. Let's explore a little bit more. We'll see what the hell this thing is. And we'll call it soon because I can't be up. It is late tonight, but tomorrow we'll have Trails. Trails second chapter. Continuing. What am I doing? He's one little rat. How fast could one little rat be? And then he was dead. Ooh, what is that? I can tell you right now, I really enjoy this game a lot. This is like right up my alley. This is, what the hell is this thing? Does it talk? Standing in front of me is a mouse man with a mohawk. He doesn't appear to be hostile. He talks to me as if he's curious. What does a mouse man even sound like?
It's been a while since I've seen a living human. What do you want?
Conversations with monsters. You can talk with some monsters. They may have information you'll need for special tasks. Using talk, you can ask about certain topics. Have more choices as the conversation goes on. Use item will use important items with the monster. This may consume important items. Attack will start a battle with the enemy. However, some monsters will refuse to fight you. You'll need to take certain steps to battle with them. Talk.
That's good. I'm tired of talking to corpses.
Mining level. Tell me about it.
I'm always stuck here mining for ore. That's what prisoners like me have to do. If we slack off and Chief Warden hits us, not good. Scary.
I'm assuming the Chief Warden is the boss.
It's said he always hits the prisoners and sometimes kills us. That's how he controls us. If you want to know more, ask the other prisoners. Try checking over in the north or the east.
I don't think I'll do that. I think I'll just slaughter him. Business card. Portable radio. Data file. Boost band. RG battery. Scalp. Here's some hair.
We gotta throw away
Can we do it in the drain? What about here? Take my business card. I'm not interested. Oh, okay, asshole. Maybe a little prick. It's fucking alright. It's really rude not to accept a guy's business card. You know that, right? Okay, we're just gonna normal attack this thing to death. There we go. As you swing, we'll have to run back and kill the, or rather, run back to base and heal up first before we take on the boss. This might give us a nice little boost to our, defend, skill, sneak attack. Just give us a little boost to XP. I hope we hit a level before we hit the boss. Oh, that's right, there's 2 enemies. There we go. Oh, our samurai office lady almost fucking kicked the bucket. Oh god, nerve gas. Oh. Office lady's down. Captain's knife, ultra bracelet. Oh, that's fantastic. But I would love to. I think it's time to go for a nice sleep back at camp. This office lady is dead. To all personnel, move your squads in teams of 6. After registering Undernauts at single edge kunai. Ooh, and underwear. Okay, let's go res office lady. Buff up stats. Head back to that area. The supervisor's listening to the radio. Everyone, have you tried Yomi Noo? Do you know about Yomi-chan noodle? Daddy, Mommy, Poochie, you and me, we all love it. Yomi-chan noodle. Collect all the bonus Undernaut cards and maybe you can become an Undernaut someday. Yomi-chan noodle, now in 16 delicious flavors. Ah. Collections. Yomi Noo. What should I do? Being a dad, it's tough, Chief. The supervisor seems to be deep in thought. You know about Yomi too, right? It's getting super popular with the kids these days. Although, it's not really the noodles that are popular, but the bonus Undernaut cards. Some kids just collect the cards and toss the ramen into the trash. Kids who don't have any cards get bullied. It's a full-on phenomenon. According to my wife, every store that stocks Yomi immediately sells out. Actually, my son told me he's relying on me. If I don't have Undernaut cards, I'll be left out at school. Dad, you're friends with Undernauts, aren't you? Can't you get me some Yomi Noo? I don't know how my son figured all this out. Yomi Noo used to be supplied as emergency rations for Undernauts a while ago. But it's out of stock due to the rapid demand. We switched to a different cup ramen brand. If I don't find a solution, my son's gonna lose faith in me. Jeez. Apparently, the supervisor's looking for Yomi Noo after his son asked him for some. Maybe if I find a package of Yomi noodles and give it to him, he would pay me somehow. Always in for the money. Investigating the labyrinth, inspect suspicious places or dead ends. Okay, and then give him Yominu. I haven't found shit for Yominu. Oh, that was a dumb topic to bring up in our rough situation. Sorry. Anyway, let's talk about you. Any ideas on how to get out of this place? I briefed the supervisor on the information I found in the depths of the mining level. I see. So there's a good chance the center you're looking for is there. First off, find out everything you can about it. Go to every place you can, each and every corner. Chief, you gotta find that center and defeat it. We're trying to do. I need to, No, I don't want to talk to him. I want to use those items that I got from the storage. So these are like permanent stat buffs, is what it looks like. Luck. It's for money, which we can't use. This is MP, that'd be nice. Free XP, very nice. Okay, now we'll res. Office lady, okay. We're almost done. Almost there. Sword sucks, okay, got it. We have new underwear. I don't think she has. No, she does. We all have. Okay, so it's the hero is missing the underwear. I know. Is accuracy? Is that what it's for? Okay, so this will go on her. Here, nothing really of importance. So okay. Now the other thing was the items. Okay, so we definitely want on her. And let's put one on her as well, so she's not completely and utterly. Luck goes to the ninja, so she is better at picking. Oh, so that actually shows the little green bar is the XP bar. Okay, I got it. I gotcha. So who's almost gonna level? My priest. There you go. Wisdom up. Alright, we're set. We're not set. I need door flowers. Okay, so let's go ahead and just make 2 because I can't afford 3. There we go. So this is going to go one of 2 ways. This boss is going to completely dumpster me, or I'm going to scrape by just barely. Woodcutter's axe. 38. Hell, okay. Not bad, not bad. Not terrible, but no. It does change. There's a treasure room here. Broken bow, healing star, brass coin. Lawn flowers. You can check the blue enemy symbol at the spot where they're used if you're victorious. Okay, this was in another game that they used. So you can actually summon monsters that are stronger than normal, and then you get better drops. It's a way to farm. I wouldn't use it. What the hell is that? Headless bones? Doom guide? You suddenly skeletons on me already? Oh. Oh. Oh no, she needs to heal. Why is my samurai always getting rocked, man? Here we go. Holy hell, okay. I'm so glad heal doesn't cost shit for mana. It's like 2 mana per cast. That's excellent. That is beautiful. Stun. Nice, nice, nice. Focus fire. Focus fire. This fight alone is gonna send me back to the fucking camp. Oh. Okay, there's the heal. Bug bones is what they're called. Just gonna keep the EI slash is fine. Pyro, dig attacks. Oh, that's right. I forgot I had these. There we go. It's 2 down. Focus fire. Nice. That's 3 down. Four down and 5 down. That was a lot of XP too. Another one. At least there's only 2 this time. This man. 2 and dead. Hidden hole. That's right. That's what I was trying to tell me earlier. So this is a running back to base. Often is going to be a core part of this type of game. Let's open this door. Well, there's a hole actually. And treasure. Bombs? Okay, that's for ladders. Okay, I see. True to a wizardry clone, it's always important to run back to base so fast for a quick top up. And then continue on your way. That's why auto travel is probably one of the biggest quality of life things it could add to this type of game. It's basically it's basically like fast travel. Although you can still get attacked. Okay, back up here. We have one more key, or door. Rock. Cancel for some reason. Ah, the monsters respawn. Gotcha. That's fine though. Ah, so it does carry over. Perfect. That's excellent. Ah, but there would be 2 fights. There we go. A little MP loss, but nothing terrible. There we go. Very nice. All int. She needs some luck. Oh boy. Yep, it would fucking... Knuckles, kunai, staff, close. Very nice. A little top up for this type of game. What am I doing? I can go this way. Did I not open this door? I didn't, because I didn't realize the monsters actually respawn like these ones right here. That's fine. Probably better to deal with these as is because of the XP gain. Okay, I need to just basic attack with him. Pyro? Backline? Nice. Finally, she actually got the trap. Talisman +2 is very nice. That'll go great on the samurai. Okay, so oh, she already has a talisman +2. Okay, then go on here then. +1. +1. Briefs. Okay, we're good to go. Is this the right way? This is not, but there's nothing that way, so. Door goes here. Ah, treasure room. Wildflowers. More door. I fully expect to get completely destroyed by this boss. I remember fighting the boss in one of their other games. The first boss is always the fucking pain. Of course. I don't have any more. Yeah. First boss is always a fucking pain. What's this? Rocks. Alright then. Moment of truth. We want to... MP restore. Myself. Samurai. We'll hold that for an emergency. I think we're good. This is about as good as it's gonna get, so. Alright. Boss time. We'll see how well this goes. Loud snore reverberates in the deep pit in front of me. Toss something into the pit. How about the scalp? They're like bodies, right? Lost scalp. Throw in scalp. It sounds like the snoring is momentarily stopped. The source of the sound is still asleep. Should I throw in another item? Okay. But what else would I don't want to lose that. Data file. Portable radio. Business card? I can't throw that in there. Oh, okay. Radio? No. So I have to find something? Is that what I'm understanding? Okay, I guess there is no boss fight this time. I had to find something. So my son is behind it. It's behind that last door. What I'll have to do then... I'm gonna need more flowers. I still have the key as well. My assumption is it's consumed on use. If it's not, that could be helpful. Flower power. Here's some underwear. Dagger, Shakti staff, regular staff. All these non-+1 items are not super good, so... Okay, let's try it. Making some flowers. Okie doke. So there's no gate there, but there is a gate here. I have to. It's not open from the side? Oh, there we go. The fuck? What's the point of the keys if you can't use them? Okay, how about this one? Specifically, okay, so... man, just like in Dark Souls, the door is only open on one side. It's not open from this fucking side. That's beautiful. I suppose it makes sense, right? It stops you from skipping much of the dungeon if you're actually exploring. +3 heal. Oh my god. These guys were loaded. Hell yeah. Even more defense. Excellent. Okay. Manual fight. I have to open that door. Or say we get the ambush shot. They don't hit me for shit. They're more of an annoyance, these rats. Okay. Let's open this fucking door. That's one. How does one open the other? Is there a path here? It's a lot of rats. We got free round though, because we got the jump on him. I really like that the rats in this game, or the monsters rather, are animated. In other games, well, I think in most games they're just static images that just sit there, but seeing them just like, even just like an idle breathing animation is nice to see. Okay, so we haven't got in here. More flour. Oh yeah, this is definitely a new area. Let's see what's through here first. Nothing. No new doorways. No, this is just a dead end. But is there a Yomi doodle? No. Good thing I stocked up on flowers. And luckily they're all rats. There we go. +4 axe. Holy hell. Okay. Digging. If you don't have any doors, let them know about this game. They will get a kick out of digging their little holes. Okay, okay. Okay. I still have one left. I hope I don't have to run all the way back. Oh, there would be dogs here, and I would get ambushed too. Okay, we're okay. That's not good. That's a little bad. Okay, cure, fire, stealth. There we go. Keep protecting. Keep the ice slashing. She's gonna heal up the ninja. Keep blasting with fire. Keep stealthing. Nice. Perfect. Okay, don't need to heal. Fire. Big attack. Again. Lots more. Nice, nice, again. Nice. Last one. Okay, perfect. 20 wisdom. Very good. Got a bomb. Flame bottle. Okay, so are spells able to be cast in there we go. Okay. Ready. So this kind of offsets having to run back all the time. But it doesn't help my my mana. But since we're not fighting the boss just yet. This place is a fucking labyrinth, isn't it? The hell is this? Another rat? Oh god! A lumbering rhino man stands in front of me. Are you a human? I just woke up, not hungry. Lucky for you. Let's talk to him. Just woke up, but still sleepy. Argent will wake me up. Gives me energy. Only 10 Argent is fine. Give it to me. Here, why not? There you go, buddy. My head is clear. Talk to me. Chief Warden. Boss is sleeping in the inner south hole. How to wake him? Boss is sensitive to smell, especially sensitive to human blood smell. If he smells something he likes, he wakes up. If he smells something he hates, he gets angry. What does he like? Boss's favorite smell. Smell of woman's blood. Oh god. Do you like women's blood too? I dislike it. I don't care. That's too bad. If you liked it, I'd give you something nice. Oh, really? I like women's blood, man. Okay, then I'll give you this. It's thanks to the Argent. Same bloody school ID. The Mohawk guy near the large hole has blood-stained women's clothes. If you want it, you gotta kill him and take it. I won't stop you. I don't like him. Oh, is that right? At times when you defeat monsters you can talk to. Okay. About the mining of the wool. Digging for ore makes me tired. That's why I'm resting. I won't get hit right now, since the boss is asleep too. Gotcha. Gotcha, buddy. You go back to working now. Ooh. Average staff. Rock. Okay. So he wants us to go here and murder his little friend. Because he has women's blood on clothes. He these Yomians really are monsters, aren't they? Okay, go in here. Alright, little man.
You like the smell here?
No. Let's, wait. I'm gonna attack him. Come here. You will pay for your transgressions. Like this! Man, he is tanky, isn't he? Like this! There we go. And just like that, I cut off his head. He didn't drop me anything? Oh, over here? Panacea! Torn Breeze Traveler's Code. He didn't drop anything. I got the ID though. Belonged to a plain-looking woman with glasses. Uh-huh. Just in case you were curious whose blood that was. Now I have mana up somewhere. Maybe that will open it or wake him up. The school ID. There you go, buddy. The story has stopped for the snoring has stopped for a while, but I hear a fitful groan in instead. The source of the sounds is still asleep. Should I throw in another item? Okay, that big rhino fucking lied to me. He told me his little guy has his clothes. Obtain disembodied arm. Hey, maybe I throw in the arm? Oh. Rid of these nuisances. Okay. One more time. A long arm that seems to be from a young male Undernaut. The arm is gashed with numerous oh, he likes the smell of whip, so he would want... Okay, let's try this. Oh, he didn't like that. Oh, that made him really bad, didn't it? Angry howls shake the area and cause the ceiling to crumble down on us. Oh! Oh! You got a preemptive strike? We managed to escape being buried alive, but we were injured by the falling debris. The source that... He's still asleep after all that? I just want him to come up and fight. Okay, so I need those clothes then. What? Alright, I went through this door. Okay. Okay. Slash. I'm gonna get rid of this thing as much as I can. Sneak attack. Skill. Protect. Yeah, slash. I want this dog to die. Ready up our tank. Attack. I want the dog to die. There we go. Of course, there would be two lives. Okay. Oh man. Okay, sneak attack. There goes Lance. There goes the big cannons is dead. Lance is fucking down, man. Oh, at least they're also down. I'm not gonna open that. I've already double statuses. What the hell is in here? I got no flowers. That's a good time to run back. Okay, so little man, you told me the rat has a woman's clothes with blood on it. That was a fucking lie. I wonder if he himself has the clothes. Okay. Makeup. There'll be flour. Great. I need flower power. Likely need quite a bit of flower power. Okay, let's try now. Oh, I was hoping to fight the boss and then end there, but quite make it to the boss. Let's go back. Oh, the little guy's still alive, but so he does respawn. Free treasure. Dogs. It had to be dogs. I think spreading damage is not super helpful here. Not against these guys anyway. Pyro, stick attack, best. Okay, that seems like the optimal strat right there. I'm starting to miss a lot. Oh boy. Without the samurai. I really don't want her to die because that means I'm gonna run back. Here we go, fast. Okay, we're good. Oh, there's two of them, of course. Nice, there we go. Again. Go up the tank. Pyro. Sneak. Fast. Very nice. We got some level ups for our efforts, which is perfect. I want her to have some constitution, just a little bit. Just so she doesn't get one shot if something stray hits her. Okay, she actually needs some attack power. Oh, we got it. Nice. Patterned coats. Ooh, that is very nice. Okay. So I want to heal up. Pray to the Pope. Thank goodness this is only 2 mana per cast. She have skill points. Rapid Barrage. Did you finish his questline, or did you just get to Masaru's questline in that game is fucking hilarious. I want that to be. There we go. Hell yeah. EI slash Helm Splitter. I see. There we go. Oh, you finished it. Okay, good. Yeah, when he starts like, I don't know what the hell he was like flexing and like squat. He's like, Masaru, Masaru. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? His wife is very beautiful. She sure is. The passive damage down. This is gonna be stronger later on, so let's stick with this for now. Okay. So let's see, hero locked in. Fine now, Valor. Maybe sending killing load 1 HP. A 2-hour shower. Yeah, he just kept her waiting on the fucking couch. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Oh, this is proper cleave. I see, I see. So I have a mind to just max power swing first. And 30 damage. Yeah. Definitely, definitely. We have lights. Gamma ray. Okay, medi, multi-medi. So this is going to be helpful for frontline, assuming it's not just a not just a buff. Medi by itself is going to be better for out of combat, maybe. Body. Oh, prayer. There's prayer in this game. Enjoy. Yes. Yes. I didn't realize there's prayer in this game. Prayer is busted. Light attack, okay. And it's the kill. Strong versus dark. Oh, as long as it's okay, so we have a fucking turn on dead. Okay, perfect. It's magic. Pyro, Hydro, Electro. So wizards need options. That's one of the big things. This is nice for boss fights. This is also not bad to learn. So we have prayer on the... Okay, nice. And we have... Nice, very nice, okay. Okay, I'm feeling it, man. I don't understand, like, the squatting thing, though. He's, like, squatting and flexing. He's like, Masaru! Masaru! that quest line just cracks me the fuck up. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. Okay, so this is the area boss. The fuck is that? It doesn't matter, we have power swing now and empowered abilities. We're not gonna use that just yet. These guys aren't undead, but more importantly, land catfish. Okay. Why not? Okay, I need to see what they're weak to. Okay. Okay, so this should work. There we go. Oh god. Bikes? Yep, okay, perfect. Whew. That is a lot of stuff. Okay, no more encounters in here, or no more random encounters. Perfect. Oh, she's bleeding. Wait, we have a pope. There you go. Okay, multi-medi is goated, of course. Or body parts. Disembodied leg. Another door. Okay, the game is starting to click a lot more than it was for me earlier. No, it's skill boost. Another one? Yep, another fucking... Oh, he was talking about another rat bastard.
This is how it is. Get out.
If I talk to you, he'd leave after. It'll wake you.
Don't wake him up. Let him sleep.
Okay. But he likes. Give 100 AG. Okay, so he said. Okay, this is what the other guy was saying. I'll be the slack guy. Okay, let's just fucking kill him. It's time to die. Not suffer a monster to live. Die! And he's dead. Big cannons with the level up. More constitution. Just gonna have huge constitution.
Not the rock.
When I checked the mouse man's nest, I find one bloody dress. A Thank Crimson dress? Okay, cool. Okay. So this will actually be the final run back to the base, just to make sure MP is set. And then it's the boss. And then I think that'll be it for tonight. The tomorrow night I'm gonna stream again. I'm gonna stream more Trill's second chapter. So if you're interested in watching that, please come watch. Watch story time with Trills. So we try to get through Trails 2 and 3. At the speed I'm going in Trails 2, I'm gonna get through 2 and 3 really fast before the remake comes out. Far before, long time before. Heal, no. Fine. We're not fine. I need those stat boosts. So I suppose the question then is if we continue to the second arc, which is the crossbow games, because I have new game pluses in every Trails game up to Daybreak 1. Storage hint. Storage. Withdraw. We want these boosts. Yeah. But I saw, in the short term, I saw that Chilla Art is coming out with another game next week. I think that's what I saw. And for those of you who don't know what Chilla games are like short form horror games in the same vein as Fears to Fathom. So I want to. Where's items? The boost. So probably be best used on the protagonist, of course. Strength boosts, strength ups. Int goes on the mage. Speed goes on the ninja. There we go. So if that comes out next week, that will probably be something that I check out. There we go. I just realized something. I think the game might want me to find 5 pieces of man flesh, as it were. And I found 2, I think. Here's a leg. Another cave-in. Oh. And then he's back to fucking sleep. Man. How about this dress? Oh man, he's awake now. Oh boy. Holy hell! An obese monster rises up out of the pit, toying with corpses. The creature looks at us, eyes glinting with desire. The violent sinner, murderous chief warden. He's got a tentacle dong. Humans. There's still humans left. Yes, I'll break you. I'll break you right away. I'll tear you into pieces. Oh no. It doesn't help that I have a party full of women. That's exactly what he wants, isn't it? Okay. You know, in old dungeon crawlers, the gender of the characters actually gave you benefits and sometimes negatives. I think in Temple of Elemental Evil, if you wanted to min-max your run in that game, you had to have a party just full of women. Because I think you get a special item that only spawns if you have a party full of women. Okay, so we're definitely gonna use that. We're definitely gonna use that. I'm a little sus about you. We're gonna use this for sure. Okay, we're going to multi-medi. Shit. Yeah, we're gonna multi-medi first. Okay, I don't know what he's weak to. So... You see a tentacle peak? That's what I was saying, man. I just said, like, he's got a tentacle dong, man. Unless it's his tail just slipping through his legs, but, Okay, protect the Vanguard. Yeah, slash. Follow up. Oh, God. Big Cannon's taking a lot of hits here. Okay, we're good. We're okay. Oh. Sneak attack. Okay, yeah, the Helm Splitter is not going to be helpful here at all. Multi-medi. Party heal. Nice, 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 nice. Nice, very nice, very nice. Okay, she's got buff magic. Okay, we're gonna spam the power swing. We'll keep guarding. Keep EI slash. So he has lots of hits. Oh, I should be using this also. This might help. I don't know by how much, but it might help quite a bit. Same with this. The perma barrier. Let's go for a evade. Yeah, slash. Follow up. Illusions didn't help. She blocked, luckily. Oh god, she's taking a lot of hits though. Okay. We're good. Okay, this is a permanent buff that I should have casted before the fight started. Okay, perma barrier, same with this. Nice, nice. Okay. Power swing. We have Dura Charge. This will be nice to keep the tank up. I should medi her. Well, actually, no. We're gonna use multi-medi. Okay, now to explore his elemental weaknesses. She's fast as fuck. I don't want to lose the tank right away. I hope she goes first because I want her to heal. Our tank. Pretty got the heal off. Nice. Okay, we're good. We're okay. We're okay. Something is affecting my samurai. I don't know what it is. Okay, Pyro. 65 damage. Okay, I don't know if he's weak to that or not. Spamming power attack. Cure Medi on... I think that's a confuse. I don't think she can actually attack, so... Let's try Hydro. And we have... more illusions for evade. She attacked herself in her confusion. That's beautiful. I love that. Okay, she's no longer confused at the very least. Power swing. Protect. Yeah, slash. Need another multi-medi. She's got tons of mana, which is good. Electro. He has a lot of single target attacks, so normal battle. Okay. He just has a shit ton of actions because of all his arms. Nice. Evasion decreased, not so nice. Multi-medi, we all got topped up. Okay. Electro, 50 damage. Okay, so far fire is the way to go. But we also have Geo to cast. Power swing. Defend. EI. We're okay on this. We have Gamma Ray. I'm assuming the insta-kill doesn't work on. Okay, so I want this on, like, the tank. Start buffing up. Geo is the last thing. But we can stealth. EI. Follow up. Stealth off. Or stealth is on, sorry. Okay, down's not good. Okay, so fire is the way to go. Okay, accuracy, evasion up. Power swing, big hit. Another one, nice. Okay. So, okay, we need to do that again. Exact. No, we don't. Power swing. Defend. EI. This lasts the entire battle. Okay. So that on the tank is going to be helpful. Pyro is the main thing that I need to change. And then we have sneak attack. EI. Follow up. Nice sneak attacks. 3 damage. Oh my god, that hurt. What? That hurt a lot. We're good. Okay. EI. We need a multi-medi stat. Okay. Illusions. EI. Follow up. No power attack, which sucks. Oh, my main! Or my cleric is dead! Shit. Oh, that's not good, or is it? That's very bad. It's very, very bad. Oh god, there goes Office Lady. We're down to it, okay. No more defenses. Pyro. We have no items to like res either. This is not good. Throw the Molotov. Oh god. It hurts. Not good. Not good at all. We have a bomb left too. Oh. I think it's over. I think we're dead. I got him! The witch killed him! The mage! She blew him up! It only costs the lives of everybody else, but that's fine, right? What matters is that he fucking died. Skill point. The monster disappears into Argent light. There's something left behind where the enemy used to be. Contains sports car photo. Oh man, that's what I've always wanted. A picture of his fucking... I collect the photo, a stone shaped like a flower appears in front of me. What is that? There's a stone shaped like a flower in front of me. It wasn't there before, but it seems to have appeared since I defeated the enemy. Touch the stone. I touch it, but nothing seems to happen. Oh. Oh. It's a good time to run back and not get killed by Wandering monsters. Oh my god. Okay. I actually thought I was just gonna die. They're damn near dead, but our mage Mai has... He stepped up. Okay. The girl said if I want to escape Yomi, I need to offer the sinner's souls to the fusion reactor. If I burn a sports car photo at the reactor, maybe something will happen. But since I don't know what will happen, I can't just do it at my own discretion. I should report to my supervisor and show him the photo first, after rezzing everybody. Yeah, and yeah. Alright. Go ahead and talk to this dude. What's the matter? I should show the super... Oh, I have to use the item. What's that photo? I tell the supervisor about the warden. Hey, are you being serious right now? There's nothing about a terrifying monster like that in the corporation records. But you defeated it. Well, I guess I'll be relieved for now. Of course I believe in you. I know you're not just an ordinary mining division chief. Anyway, I feel like I've seen the man in this photo somewhere before. I remember now. It says 12th prey at Gunma, so it has to be. This guy's a serial killer. He killed both men and women. My wife's from Gunma. I remember him since I was worried about her. When he was caught 5 years ago, it was all over the news. I thought he was already executed. Why is a photo of someone like that in Yomi? Never mind. Who cares about that right now? We have more important things to worry about than old crime cases. Take that photo and show it to the girl. It might not work, but if a miracle happens and we can get out of here, then it's celebration time. Let's give it a try. Might as well pray to God while we're at it. God can't help us now. Let me guess. The fucking fat monster boss was the serial killer. It just changes everything, doesn't it? I have to... Show her the photo? This item. Sports car photo. Oh, I didn't even read the description. Photo of a man and woman standing and smiling uneasily next to a sports car. Now it reads Gunma, 12th prey. Prey? I'm assuming that's a localization thing. They mean to say victim. When I take out the sports car photo, the girl reacts. Power. I feel a great power. The sinner's soul. The sinner's dark soul. Relics. If we offer this to the spirit tree, we can gain a miraculous power. But to do that, I must wet the relic with my blood. Order to help. Ask her for assistance. I asked the girl for assistance. I understand. I am the spirit tree's sacrifice. I will fulfill my duty. Lost the photo? But what happens? The girl takes the relic and approaches the fusion reactor. She undoes the bandage at her arm to dab the blood from her wound and smears it onto the relic. She places it into the furnace. Oof. A new sacrifice's power awakened in the reactor, making it possible to create ladder flowers. Nice, nice. Okay, I see. Obtain ladder flower. You can now enhance equipment up to +5. Thanks to the reactor's analysis, information on the murderous chief ward has been revealed. Sinner bios. Once you incinerate a sinner's relic at the fusion reactor, you can view their information. Just go to view info. Okay. I felt it. The memory hidden in the relic. The soul of the sinner bound by violence. Like a fuck. These violent urges raging like an inferno. The power to destroy someone as their heart desires. It's completely different than me. Someone who is helpless. People may call him a sinful being. But if I could only become either a strong person or a weak person, which one is the ideal version of a human? you want to be strong? You're right. I admire it. If I was going to be destroyed by someone, I'd prefer to have the strength to destroy them. As long as you have power, the world can change, just like the Mad King's spirit tree. The sacrifice of a strong soul birthed a new miraculous flower. But a weak sacrifice like me can only become fuel for miracles. Always and forever. The girl's faint murmur appears to be racked with resignation. This Yomi is home to many other sinners. If you gather many relics from them, it's possible a great miracle can happen. If you wish to escape from Yomi, kill the sinners and collect their relics. Explore the labyrinth, find the sinners, and defeat them. I'm sure much blood will be shed. But if you use this flower, you can escape from the hardship for a while. In the palm of the girl's extended hand lies a Yomi flower. Obtain return flower. I don't like people dying, whether that be me or others. I'm assuming that teleports you back to base. The girl falls silent again. Return flower. By using return flower in labyrinth, you can return to base anytime you... Ah, okay, yes. Perfect. Collect the relics. $30. I gotcha, okay. Let's get one anyway. Not for tonight, but for the future. See if the chief has anything to say. I hear thanks to that photo on the girl's power, the reactor's been enhanced. If you use the ladder flower, you can head up or down from the section with the large hole. Go and investigate already. That's your job, right? That's right. Okay, then. The last thing I want to do is just do my stat ups, and then that will be good for tonight. Sculptor's Dex, there we go. So, I definitely want this on. And do the stats. Learn. Big power swings. Big ass fucking power swings. Nuclear bombs worth of. Ooh. I always like the passes like that. You have the chances to not die. You just get set to 1 HP. Emergency guard. There's a passive. Oh, okay. That. Anybody else? Let's see. Stealth, Mistvale. Lower all enemies' accuracy and stealth. Ooh, okay. Up something level. Substitute technique. Chances to evade, HP up. Okay, so these right here, these perma debuffs are gonna be core, crucial. To evade, also good. See what's nice is a what do you call it? Quality of life ability. Okay then. Not a bad game. I'm very pleased with how this game has turned out. Now of course Trails is going to be the primary game to be going through for the time being, but this was a nice little side thing to see. We'll come back to it eventually. But like I said earlier, I think Chilla is coming out with a new horror game next week, which I'll probably try and see. I'll see which day it launches on, and then probably that night I will play it. But that'll be whatever it comes out. Tomorrow I'll be streaming again. We'll be playing more Trails in the Sky second chapter, and continue the adventure of Estelle and the search for Joshua, which is of course, well, the plot of the game. No spoilers tonight. There'll be tons of spoilers tomorrow though. Wednesday is co-op night with Alice once more. We may finish Trinity Trigger. We might not. Really depends on how much longer the game's gonna go on for. And then I would like to stream either Friday or Saturday, so keep an eye out on that. It'll be more spur of the moment though, because I do want to see the end of Trails 2. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming to swing by and hang out for a bit. I want to talk about the game. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I definitely enjoyed playing it, and I'm interested. The premise of the game alone is what kept me going. But it's starting to click now that more mechanics are available, which is usually part of the course for dungeon crawlers. But that's what we would call it. So, as always, Wanderers, take care and farewell.